welcome to welcome to a Sunday edition of Morning Scone, presented by Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, and Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Do business with someone you know, Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Appreciate y'all for being here as always. Thanks to everybody who came out to Rouse's yesterday for the bourbon pop up. Really good crowd. Got to meet a lot of folks. I got to meet poor Glenn yesterday. Glenn Reese came out, so that's the guy who we have joked often wants to turn me into a skin suit and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, but it was nice to meet Glenn yesterday and everybody else who came out. So thanks to everybody who did. LSU had practice yesterday. As I mentioned, I was at the event at Rouse's during the media availability, so I was not available to go out to practice, but I did kind of follow up with a lot of folks and got a lot of the reports, listen to what Brian Kelly had to say after practice. So a couple of things to note. John Emery looks like his status is again up in the air, which would explain why you're seeing more of Noah Kane and Armani Goodwin take first team reps if Emery's status is still up in the air. So we will wait and see what that is. He's still practicing. Brian Kelly says he's in good standing with the football team. He's done everything they've asked him to do, but apparently looks like it's an academic issue again with John Emery. But we'll see if he can, if that can all get rectified. Brian Kelly also said that he will name a starting quarterback. I think there was some question as to whether or not he would name a starter, or if we would all just find out, during the opener against Florida State when the first offense went out there. But looks like he will name a starting quarterback. And as promised, they did shuffle the offensive line. So Bradford moved into guard. They gave Cam Wire a shot at first team right tackle yesterday. So it's a little unnerving, quite honestly, that you still don't have your starting offensive line set. The opener is 2 weeks from today. So we are 2 weeks from LSU playing Florida State in the Dome. Looking forward to what I hope is a great day of football, great weekend of football. And still got some questions I got to answer. So I think I told y'all before, I thought Brian Kelly would name a starter at quarterback after one of these scrimmages, so that the next full practice that we get to watch is Tuesday. It's a full scrimmage in Tiger Stadium, and my guess is that would be pretty revealing, wouldn't it? So maybe you name the starter before then, because we're all going to see it anyway at that point, or maybe you name it after, formally name the starter after that scrimmage. So we'll see. All right, let's say some good mornings. Whatever y'all got, fire away. David Allman, good morning. Tyler Alexander, Kelly Gross, Ryan Amanda Guidry, Brant Roban, good morning. Love the shirt. Yeah. It's a classic. It's vintage. Authentic. Steve Scott, morning Matt. Daughter at a dance clinic, wife shopping with friends. This 44-year-old is planted in the recliner. Have a great one. There you go, Steve. Enjoy the day, man. Man, you should have some football on that you could watch today. Chris Keller, how about the UFC fight? Yeah, man. Kamaru Usman got head kicked and lost in the 5th round. Edwards is real, man. He's real. But still, to see Usman go down is a surprise. Bob Poole, that's why I love that sport, man. You're always one punch, one kick away. Truax, what's good? Yeah, man. Great to see you yesterday. Appreciate y'all coming out for sure. Truax and Cliff Nelson and I went through near the end when the line had thinned out. We went through the line several times to see it was much easier. Initially, the line was snaking all the way through Rouse's. I mean, there was people in line for a while. By the time we got there, by the end of it, there was maybe 8-10 people, so you could just kind of get back in line really quickly and sample all of it. So it was really good. Great day. Kerry Dunnington, Samuel Merrifield. Matt, do you think Okay, I'm just done with that. Whatever. Sorry. Every time someone comments, it resets the whole comment chain, and it's annoying. Wendell Norman, that was on Facebook. I know trivia. Donovan Thibodeau, Trivia Carter, Jeremiah Hardell, Bobby Cottle, good morning. D, good morning. Josh Langlois, Spurge, Murder Giraffe, what's up? Michael Costello, Larry Garner, Coach Nate Green, Jay Maggio, Todd Peterson. What's up, y'all? It's crazy people are mortified over 2 preseason losses. Jeremiah, who's mortified over 2 preseason losses? Like, seriously, who's mortified over that? I don't know that anybody... I personally haven't seen anyone that particularly cares. To say mortified over 2 preseason losses is... sounds a bit over the top, but, I mean, I'm in a very real sense. I haven't heard anybody that's complained about the 2 losses. I mean, the Saints aren't... Like, nobody cares about preseason records. They're not even playing their starters. I mean, you haven't seen your 20 best players on the field. Hunter Picard, L. Jeezy, good morning. Cool to see all the alumni coming back. Yeah, Brian Kelly posted a picture yesterday, or whoever runs his account. Maybe it is him. Apparently, they welcomed football alumni back into the building yesterday, so a lot of guys went, and Brian Kelly spoke to him in the team room, so it's pretty cool. Brett Taylor, Randall Offrecht. Good morning, Matt. Who's the starting quarterback for Florida State? How good are they? So you're talking about Florida State's starting quarterback. So his name is Jordan Travis. He is a returning starter. He played a bit 2 years ago during COVID. I'll pull up his numbers for you here. Here you go. So he started his career at Louisville back in the 2018 season. So think Joe Burrow's first season as the starter. So he's a fifth-year guy. So he started at Louisville, played in 3 games, just like a little backup role. Transferred to Florida State. So this was the 2019 season. Played in 4 games, but again, just 11 pass attempts, just in a backup role. During the COVID year, he started 6 of their 8 games. Was okay, 6 touchdowns, 6 picks. And then last year, started 8 games and completed about 63% of his passes, 1,500 yards, 15 touchdowns, 6 picks. So was better. He is a good runner also. Last year, he ran for 530 yards, averaged 53 rush yards a game, 13 yards. I'm sorry, it's 13 attempts per game. It doesn't say his yards per carry, but anyway, so dual threat guy, can certainly tuck it and run, and has a lot of experience. He's played in 25 games over his career with 14 starts. All 14 starts have come the last 2 years at Florida State. So 6 in 2020 and 8 last year. So I'd edge Jaden Daniels over Jordan Travis. Certainly has been better in his career and played more. But Jaden Daniels also has to win the job, so we'll see. Brad David, good morning. Donovan Thibodeau, is it possible John Emery running third string had more to do with academics, less to do with performance? I want to remind you, Donovan, Emery has been taking first-team reps as well. Like, they've rotated them pretty interchangeably with all the teams. But when they've gone into the team periods that we've seen, that's when we've seen Kane and Goodwin. I'm telling you, those 2 guys look really good. So I can't tell you that Emery's distinguished himself physically in any way. So if there's, something else there holding him back, I think that's an easier decision to bump him down. Trey Guy, Jason Mobile, good morning. Let's see, Ask E-Rock today. If she gets up, she and Drew are sleeping right now. If she wakes up, she might come in here. Alex Barnes, I love when I watch AFR and I see somebody say that you're always wrong, yet the guy clearly didn't listen to what you said. It really annoys me. I have no idea how you do it, Matt. Mostly because I just ignore them, Alex. I mean, I guess the reality is you can't convince everybody of everything all the time. So the most important thing I can do is just be consistent with what I say. Like, well, there was something yesterday. Oh, it was about the starting quarterback. There was like somebody on social media commented to me, and it's like you can't listen to Scone. A week ago he was saying Miles Brennan was going to be the guy, and before that, I'm like, no, no, no. I've said all along that it's my opinion that Jaden Daniels will take the first snap. Now we'll see if he's good enough to keep the job, and I think both guys will play. But I've never said I thought Miles Brennan was going to start. But people hear what they want. It's all good. But if I'm consistent in what I say, then you can hear what I say on any platform, right? Rob Boudreaux, how is it possible that Emery is not in good standing? I don't know. Eric Douglas, how are you? Quick question. Do you think, I guess it's Hooker, could be dark horse Heisman candidate? To my Hendon Hooker from Tennessee, probably not, Eric, because look, to be honest, if you're going to win a Heisman, you've got to be like best player, best team type thing. And Tennessee is just not going to be a contender. Like, you can't be on a team that loses 4 or 5 games and win a Heisman. So no, I think he's going to have a big year, just that offense, and I think he's a really good player. But I don't think that he's a dark horse Heisman candidate in the sense that he might legitimately win it or even get to New York. Chris Carter, good morning. Scott Fields, Charlie Cavell, Jason Aguilar, good morning from Springfield. Logan Mathern, kicking scares me. People fail to talk about it, but man, does it play a big role. I agree with you, Logan. We actually talked about it here yesterday. That's unsettled, and when you think about how many close games this team may well play, it is concerning that you don't have a guy that feels automatic when you've had it for the last 3 years. Kyle DeVille, hey Dad, good morning. Brian Jones, is Harris still on the team at safety? He is. He's just pretty far down the depth chart. This guy's just battled injuries his whole career, Ron McDaniel, good morning from Hattiesburg. All right, Ron, safe travels today. Brian Jones, good morning. Let's see, Ryan, we've been fine in the kicking game for a long time. Now there's concern. Hope they get that figured out. Yeah, in 2017, if you remember, that was Ogeron's first season as the full-time coach. They had Connor Culp and Jack Gonsolin. And it was about a 50-50 proposition on field goals that year. It was not good. And then, of course, they went and got Cole Tracy and then Cade York. And so they've been really good there the last 3 years. Or last 4 years. So, I mean, you hope one of these guys just takes the job and becomes really consistent at it. But to think you're going to be as good as you were a year ago is just... I mean, you're literally talking about the best kicker in LSU history. So you're going to take a step back there. But can you consistently count on a guy to make a kick when you need it? That could be the determining factor in the difference between an 8-win season or a 6-win season, right? Jason Aguilar, I put $500 on the 7-time world champion Santos loss, $500 on all loss. Well, looks like you got to go to work today, dog, to make up that money. Sam Joe Bear, what's up, Sam Joe Bear? Good to see you. Dylan Landry, good morning. Tim McCasaloo. Samuel Merrifield, do you think Brady walks away before the season or does he play? I don't know, Samuel. I mean, the fact that we're at least asking the question with a legitimate unknown is kind of striking, isn't it? I mean, he did retire. I mean, he walked away, decided to come back, and now here in camp, he's MIA. So I think there's a legitimate question that needs to be asked there about a 45-year-old Tom Brady and if he's really coming back. Brian, oh wait, all right, answered the Emery one. Brian Arsenault, OMG. I read the official penalties changes for the season. You almost need to be an attorney to understand some of them. Edge rushers and wide receivers should have an advantage. Brian Jones, can you name the starting O-line? So it's changed, Brian. Like, they don't have it. What the O-line they were using throughout all of camp was from left to right: Will Campbell, Tremont Shorts, Garrett Dellinger at center, Miles Frazier at right guard, Anthony Bradford at right tackle. Yesterday, they went Campbell at left tackle, so that seems solidified. Miles Frazier at left guard, Dellinger at center, so that seems solidified as well, unless if Charles Turner can jump up and just beat him. Bradford at right guard, Cam Wire at right tackle, and honestly, I like that better. I like Wire at right tackle and Bradford at right guard. I think Bradford's more of a guard than a tackle, so we'll see what direction they go. Logan Mathern, what's your guess on Kelly's? I'm sure y'all can put the rest together about Emery. Grades? Yeah, grades. TK Brown, good morning. Kyle DeVille, not trying to be that guy, but I hope all the hype about Jaden is worth it. Yeah, Kyle, I don't know what you mean about all the hype. It would be one thing if he came in and were just anointed. Like, I would say there's hype about Jackson Dart, right, at Ole Miss, who hasn't, I mean, Jackson Dart at SC last year threw 9 touchdowns and 5 picks, right? I mean, you're talking about a guy who's played 1 season of college, didn't start the entire season, but when he played, completed 62% of his passes, 9 touchdowns, 5 picks, 1,300 yards. Good year, but so many people are giving Ole Miss the benefit of the doubt, assuming Jackson Dart's going to be great. Might he be? Sure. And I think Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin's a great coach, and I give him the benefit of the doubt for a lot of that. But Jaden Daniels is still in a battle for the starting job, right? People are just assuming Jackson Dart the starter and that he's going to be great. So maybe it's just semantics, but there's hype around Jackson Dart. There's skepticism around Jaden Daniels. Charlie Gale, good morning. Kyle DeVille, that's truth, Matt. Your opinion is facts. I've been a long time fan, seeing your opinion become fact. Just saying. Well, Kyle, sometimes there are things that I know that I'm just not going to break news, and so I'll phrase it as an opinion. I mean, y'all know that long enough. And sometimes there's not, but I'll tell you honestly. Like, with the quarterback stuff, I'm not telling you, like, all along that I've known Jaden Daniels is going to be the starter. I haven't. I mean, I'm telling you honestly. That's an opinion I formulated using circumstantial evidence, which is all the things you've heard me say. He's the most experienced guy. Why go get him if you already had the other guys on campus? You clearly didn't need him. He has a skill set that this coaching staff wants. There's just a lot of things that make sense why he should be the first guy. So, anyway. Ron, can you talk about how Florida State's run game will stack up against our linebackers? Not just the linebackers, but the defensive line, Ron. So, interestingly enough, Florida State's offensive line is kind of in a similar flux like LSU's. They've got 2 transfers starting, and they've got 3 redshirt sophomores that are all kind of starting for the first time. So, their offensive line is not super great. Florida State's running back is a by the way, I would highly recommend you go to the AFR LSU YouTube channel and listen to the interview that we did with Carter Carls, who covers Florida State for the Tallahassee Democrat. Good info there about them. So, Trey Benson is their starter. He's a transfer. Trey Benson transferred from Oregon. I'm trying to look up his stats. So he was at Oregon the last 2 seasons, played 9 games with 6 carries for 22 yards as a redshirt freshman, and he missed the entire 2020 season due to injury. So he does not have a lot of experience. Went to Oregon, missed 2020 due to injury, and last year only had 6 rushing attempts. So a guy that was he's from Mississippi, by the way, who went to Oregon, a guy who was a highly ranked prospect when he came out of high school, but just injuries and other things have sort of derailed his career, but he's the guy that's going to be the starter. So you've got a running back that doesn't have a ton of experience and pretty much a brand new offensive line for Florida State going against a really good defensive front from LSU. But if you flip it around, the same is also true for Florida State and LSU offense. LSU new offensive line, unproven running backs who have talent against a defensive front, which kind of is Florida State's strength. So that is going to be an interesting battle to watch because both are kind of bad on good or unknown on good, put it to you that way. Joey Metke, Trey Guy, good morning. Is there concern Jaylen Brown might decommit? I don't know that, man. Sorry. Strong side, Carl the Cat, Edward O, good morning. Merrick Mathern, any surprise player at camp we should know about? Mason Taylor is the one I would tell you. As much as Brian Kelly likes to use the tight end, and as much as he has lauded Mason Taylor, and then from what we've gotten to see, like they are going to use Mason Taylor, the true freshman tight end, they're going to use him in the passing game. Jeremiah Hartle, Kimi Räikkönen is racing in the NASCAR Cup Series. Okay, I have no idea who that is. Brad David, what happened to the Florida State program? It's odd Jimbo won a championship there and still left. Did they not have enough resources? That's a big part of it, Brad. It's part of why he left. I know some people eye roll whenever they hear that, but it's true. I remember having this conversation quite often with folks at look at Carl Ravage at Florida State and around there during that time because of the LSU flirtation with Jimbo. And Jimbo was frustrated because their facilities were lacking and they kept losing assistant coaches because Florida State wouldn't pay assistants. Their coordinators were pretty routine. Like when LSU was paying coordinators $1 million a year, Florida State was paying them $500,000 a year. So they kept getting their assistant coaches poached. And so Jimbo got very frustrated. And that's a big part of it, you know, of how, why and how they've slipped. And then they just made Jimbo left and they made bad hires. You know, with the way that's going. Joey B19. Let's see, Cliff Nelson, morning Scone. Bourbon tasting was great yesterday. Team Drew had a good time, man. Glad we got to circle back through the line late and get a couple of pours of really good stuff. Survive 623. Casey Smith, get more game coin. I would always recommend it. But you know I'm bullish on it. Let's see. Brett DeGrow, good morning. Your fave 5 head. Morning from LA. Hope you and the family have a great Sunday. Same to you, early out there in LA. Thanks for getting up with us. Bob Simo, good morning. Looking forward to football and the game coin launch. We are close, man. To both, actually. Spurge, who do you think has the coach's attention after 2 preseason games? Hang on one second. Drew's backpack speak. Lazy bones today, man. You rockin' Drew out. Shout out to Brock, y'all. Hudco. So Spurge, you know, there aren't many jobs up for grabs with the Saints. So if someone has their attention, I would imagine it would be for a negative reason, like Ian Book. The guy I'm interested in is John Bostic. I think he's got a chance to make the team at linebacker. Let's see, Matt. Heard that Florida State's 1 and 2 centers are injured. Can you confirm? They are Oh God, I'm trying to remember. So we did talk about that with Carls. I can't confirm that because I don't know how the rotation would have gone at the start of the season, but they are deep into their bench. Yes. So like I don't know if they're on their number 3 center or if it's just a thing where like you come into this year and you knew you were going to have turnover there anyway, and so you're trying to decide who it's going to be. Brendan Wallace, Scone. What's the word on Emery? Same as last year. Sounds that way. Carly Cat. Game 1 versus Florida State will be huge to get the monkey off LSU's back after the last 2 years. Yeah, LSU went, what was it, 16 straight years without losing an opener. And then, the last 2 years you've lost to Mississippi State in the COVID year, and then last year you lost to UCLA. Especially for this team, y'all, I'm going to maintain it. They got to start 4-0. This team you got to be 4-0 going into October. For whatever type of season we're all hoping or thinking they can have, you got to beat Florida State in New Orleans and Mississippi State at home. You got to start 4-0. If you drop one of those games, you really put yourself in a tough spot to try to find a way to get above the win total for this year for sure. Strong side. Let's see. Do you think Winston be ready to play week 1? Yes, absolutely. Murder Giraffe. Did you watch the Manti Deo documentary? I did not. Daniel Blunt. What's good? Let's see, Brad. I watched your interview with Carter Carls. It was interesting how he had the connection to Brian Kelly. Would love to hear him tell more Brian Kelly stories. Yeah, we'll do that, Brad. I'll do that again. I'll make sure I get it back. So Carter Carls is the Florida State beat writer for the Tallahassee Democrat. He was at the South Bend Tribune before he went to the Tallahassee Democrat, and this is his first season covering Florida State. So he had been covering Brian Kelly, and when he joined us this week, he was telling some Brian Kelly stories. So go check, again, good interview. Go check that out on demand if you have it. Brett Taylor, Matt, how do we look at the kicking, punting, special teams department? So your punter is Jay Bramlett, the transfer from they're wearing Devil Rays uniforms. Oh God, the transfer from Notre Dame. Bramblett's also your holder. Your snapper is Slade Roy, the transfer from East Carolina. The place kicking and kickoff duties are what's a little unknown right now. Why can I not? Damian Ramos is the guy who's kicking field goals, PATs right now, but they've all been sort of inconsistent. So we'll see, man. There's not a lot of reason to be supremely confident right now. Because they have, they've rotated 3 guys, and the fact that you don't have a guy yet kind of tells you the issue that you have. So hopefully, man, look, and it doesn't matter what you do in practice. It's what happens whenever the lights are on and you got to do it for real. Can you slow the mechanism and just have a repeated motion and make them? We'll see. But that is a big concern, for sure. Let's see, Daniel, have to figure out if I should drop Spanish 2001 this week. I've got 2 poetry classes. It's going to rain. Who dat? Okay. Jay Maggio. All the reports on the kicking aren't awesome. Punting, I think is it. Yes. Gulf South. Coach O was unorganized, so we get him missing Emery's academic issues last year. Kelly's supposed to be the definition of organization and structure. How does this happen again under his watch? Well, Gulf South, it's not happening again. This is the big difference, and this is what someone alluded to earlier. The big difference is John Emery was taking all of the first-team running back reps last year up until Thursday before the UCLA game. Again, this is the point that really annoys me with people like you, because people like you are the ones that will continue to defend Orgeron to the death, and you will not acknowledge this very real difference. We have been talking about for 2 weeks in the fall camp how Noah Kane and Armani Goodwin seem to have passed John Emery. John Emery, at the scrimmage we got to see on Wednesday, was running 3rd behind those guys. Now we know why. They're getting the other guys ready because there's a chance Emery won't be there. Last year, up until Thursday before the opener against UCLA, that dude was taking all the first-team reps. That's the difference. How does a guy become academically ineligible? Happens on every team, every year, with every coach in every program. There's some dudes that just don't go take care of their business. That's why. Bro. So, dude, some people cannot be helped. That guy cannot be helped. By the way, Golf South, I'm sure you're a nice guy. We've never met, but sure you're a super nice guy. But that's a guy right there who is so rooted, so deeply rooted in his own BS, so desperately wants to vindicate or validate Ed Ogeron that he will continue to, even now, after Ed Ogeron's shenanigans, naked pictures in bed with women, pictures with women by the pool, having his team march against him during the BLM movement back in 2020, back-to-back 500 seasons, a 500 season with a team that had 10 dudes drafted. With all of that, you still are circling back to try to find ways to poke hole in somebody else, bro. It's just, get out of here. Jeremy Wiley, more Matt. Returning to Oklahoma from Kansas today. Planning on being in Louisiana October for 2 weeks. All right. Hopefully the weather's nice in October. Colson, what's good? Hudco merch. Needed. I think I can help you there, sir. Robbie Welburn, good morning. Score prediction for the Florida State game. I think you're probably got a game in the 20s. 27, 24, something like that. Brady and Gronk stopped at the UFC event last night. So Tom Brady, with this family issue going on, not at camp, but at UFC with Gronk. Okay. Does Besh still play the role he was in last year? No, he is a wide receiver this year. He's not playing tight end anymore. Dana Boyd, good morning. Let's see. Chance Babin, y'all should get a purple and gold Hudco hat. Nope, not doing it. Chance, so I believe branding is so important. And especially in our business, colors are associated with roofing companies. Like, you know which roofing companies are out there, and there are colors associated with different roofing companies. Ours is orange. Like, it is unmistakable. When you see orange roof, Hudco. I mean, there's another one that's purple and gold. I do not want to in any way ever be confused with them. So, no. I've had that conversation with our partners who wanted to make like purple and gold Hudco merch, and I'm like, no, there's another company that's purple and gold, and do not want to in any way be confused with them. Hudco is orange. Please, orange. Jason Aguilar, if Daniels is the number one quarterback, I'm happy he's a really good quarterback. I remember his recruiting. I was praying he was coming to LSU. Brian Jones, heard Neighbors has balled out in camp. Is Hilton buried on the depth chart? Yeah, and Chris had been injured a little bit, but Malik Neighbors has played awesome. They moved him into the slot just to get him on the field, and he's been really good. Like, he, as a slot receiver, he is going to be a mismatch. If you have a nickel or a linebacker trying to cover Malik Neighbors, that's going to be a problem. Brian Jones, heard the hype about number 5 defensive end Florida State. Do you think he would give us problems? Florida State lost Johnson, Jeremy Johnson. Yeah, Jeremy Johnson, that was it. Jeremy Johnson was their defensive end, who was the ACC Defensive Player of the Year last year. They lost both of their starting ends, but they returned their tackles. So it's interesting because the LSU is the reverse. LSU lost its starting defensive tackles with Neil Farrell and Glenn Logan, but returned its ends with Gay and Ojulari. Florida State's the opposite. They lost their ends, but returned their tackles. But both teams apparently are deep there on the defensive line. That's kind of a strength. Brian Jones, wish we had a warm-up game this year before Florida State. I think Kelly will have us better prepared than last year, but it would be better to knock the wrinkles out. I agree with you, Brian. I asked Mike Jones about that at media days, like, because Florida State has a week 0 game. And the way Mike Jones kind of spun it was, he said, well, now we'll have game film, talking about LSU, saying, we'll have game film to watch on them after a game where they're not going to know what we're going to do, which I guess that's one way to spin it, but I would rather have the opportunity to go, like, put on the uniform in a game you have no chance of losing and actually go through all of the particulars of a game, calling for the punt team, calling for kickoff team, signaling in plays, just all of the functionality of a game day, and basically having a dress rehearsal. I think there's merit to that. Chance, the intriguing part of LSU Florida State, the huge influx of transfers on both teams. Brother, that's every team. That's like literally every team in college football. I mean, Florida's best receiver is an Arizona State transfer at wide receiver. Ole Miss's quarterback's going to be a transfer. Texas A&M's quarterback's going to be a transfer. Kentucky's starting quarterback is, it's Will Levis, who's established, but he's a transfer. I mean, just think about it. Just think about all of college football. In the season opener you're going to watch with Pitt and West Virginia, both are going to be starting transfers at quarterbacks that were at one point teammates at USC. It's crazy. Jason, can't wait to see Noah Kane. LSU fans are going to drop their jaws. He looks good, yeah. Dalton Pishon, hoping Frank Wilson can recruit some of these high-powered backs like he has in the past. Love how we modernized the offense. I love a running back, yep. Patrick McKenzie, Matt, what is LSU tight end receiving yard record? Could it be broken this year? So it's Thad Moss. Because Moss broke all the records. I think Robert Royal and maybe David LaFleur held them. He had 47 catches for 570 yards and 4 touchdowns. PTG Toasty, good morning. J Maggio. T-Bob's slightly less attractive cousin. Okay. Joey Medke, Matt, I know this isn't LSU related. Living in California, there's a lot of backlash with them joining the Big Ten, especially from the governor and others. Do you think they'll back out? I do not. I do not think they'll back out. For as long as there has been expansion and realignment and stuff like that, there have been politicians that have tried to wiggle their way into those types of conversations, and it's never happened in reverse. So no, I don't. Especially since now the TV contract is done. No, I don't think that's being undone. A light worker, what's going on? Pat Huseman, good morning. Checking back in live from Buc-ee's in Greenville, Alabama. Okay. Terry O would be happy to know you're at Buc-ee's. Fonz Fonzarelli. You're asking about Emery. So it's not BS being spread. I mean, Brian Kelly literally spoke on the record yesterday about it. And he wouldn't cite specifically the issue, and he cited, federal law, like privacy laws, but no, it's very clearly something they still got to work out. Julio Jones would be very upset if the man who recruited him up and retires. There's no way Ian Book makes the practice squad. I'm not sure I would go that far to say no way, because you're going to need a quarterback on the practice squad that's basically a scout team arm, and you've got enough invested in him now as a 4th round pick, and have invested a year plus in him. So I wouldn't go that far. Samuel Smith, the Florida State guy on AFR, seemed overly confident about their team this year. What do you think about it? Please keep in mind the Florida State guy that you refer to is not a Florida State guy. Like, he's a guy that covers the team for the Tallahassee Democrat. And a year ago, he was covering Notre Dame for the South Bend Tribune. So, I thought he was very candid about the question marks and issues that they have, not having really any wide receiving depth or proven running backs, and a questionable offensive line. And I think he was bullish on their defensive line. But I think when I even asked him for a record prediction, I think he said something like 7-5, 7 or 8. Let's see. Is FSU a trap game? I don't know that you could call it a trap game. LSU's a 3-point favorite. You better be taking this game seriously. 5 Star Sports, is Kelly naming the starter this week? I think so. Yeah. The other thing we've referenced again, like guys, look at precedent. A year ago, Brian Kelly was in the same situation. He had a Wisconsin transfer named Jack Scone who had come in. They went through camp, and it was middle of August. I looked it up. It was August the 14th when he named a starter. So he named Scone the transfer his starter. So I mean, now you're here on 8/21. You're 2 weeks from the opener, but it makes sense. So you get through 2 weeks of camp. Now you start preparing for your opener. So you got to have whoever is going to be your guy taking the first team reps and getting ready to go win a game. You're no longer trying to win a job, you're trying to win a game. Let's see. Ligma having surgery at Brock this week. Well, sorry to hear that you're having surgery, but glad you'll be at Brock. Great doctors, you're welcome for the plug. How are you feeling about the secondary? Yeah, I think so. Here's what I've pretty much said about the secondary. I don't think anyone in that secondary has as high a ceiling as Elias Ricks or McLaughlin. Obviously, Stingley and Flotter are gone into the pros, but I think collectively, you got a lot of guys that have played a lot of football at a high level. So while you may not have the future first round pick in that secondary, I like the fact that you've got, of your 4 veteran corners, they're all 5th or 6th year guys that have played a ton of football. And that's not even including Greg Brooks and Joe Fouché, who have played a ton of football, and Jay Ward and Major Burns, who are talented and played a ton. You know what I mean? So, anyway, I get asked a lot if I'm looking for this knockout where Kamar Usman got knocked out. I get asked a lot, what my takeaways from camp have been, and if there's one, it's that I'm more bullish on the defense than they're not going to show. They're showing a still shot. Is that I'm more bullish on the defense than I would have been initially coming in. I think Matt House really has them organized. He's a proven commodity as an SEC defensive coordinator. I think that's crazy. Sorry. I was watching the highlights of Usman and Edwards. Yeah, so anyway, but refocus. I think defense can be good, yes. Joey B19, Ole Miss lost Corral. Arkansas has the hardest schedule in the nation. Auburn has instability everywhere. A&M's destined for 8-4. Brian Kelly's first season is set up to finish 2nd or 3rd, or at worst in the West. But Joey B19, don't you realize the way you said that, you could spin it the same way for LSU? You could say LSU doesn't have a starting quarterback. They're replacing their entire offensive line. The defense is entirely made up of transfers. You have an entirely new coaching staff, and you're not settled at place kicker. You could make that argument the same way. So there's a way to spin either of that. As far as Ole Miss, you could say, yes, they lost Matt Corral, but they have their skill guys back. Lane Kiffin is still an elite offensive play caller. Jackson Dart was a starter at a major school a year ago. You know what I mean? You can spin that however you want. I do think Ole Miss look at Ole Miss's schedule. Ole Miss very well should start 8-0. Go look at their schedule. Ole Miss should start 8-0. I think Arkansas' schedule is brutal, and I think Arkansas is going to be an 8-4 football team. I don't know how they get past that schedule. Auburn, yeah, I think Auburn finishes. Auburn or Mississippi State, I think they finish second to last in the West. Those two. And I kind of agree on A&M, where I don't know, quite honestly, if this is the team that's the one that's going to break through. I think next year you're more likely to be a breakthrough team than this year. So I think I've got LSU 3rd in the West, maybe 4th depending on what happens with Ole Miss and A&M. Let's see. Do you like the Week 0 college football games? I do. Give me more football. I love it. Kevin Grimes, Matt, Do LSU players lose a start in recruiting when they commit? Lose a start in recruiting when they commit. Oh, a star. You put start, you mean a star. No. No, they don't. Murder Giraffe, what's up? Oh, sorry, I gotta refind my spot on here. Oh man, I'm way behind. Sorry. Gregory Gordy, good morning. Where's the Drewster? Drew is still in bed. Drew and Eric are both still sleeping. 243 watching on YouTube. That's incredible. Thank you so much. 78 on Facebook. Appreciate y'all. Do me a favor, please. If you're on YouTube, smash the like button. 246 watching and only 64 likes. If we could smash the like, and if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe up to the Matt Scone channel. As always, shout out to Brock, Banners with Peter Clinic, and Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Right, now that I see that number is so high, and I'm very behind on comments, I'm going to move a little more quickly, so my apologies. Lamar Stevens, is the national media underestimating how impactful the subtraction of coaching competencies will be for LSU? Maybe, but you also have massive roster turnover. And so the thing I would tell you more so than just the national media, Lamar, is look at the odds makers in Vegas, because they don't care about opinion or school colors or biases. They're just trying to put an accurate number out to generate action on either side of a number, right? So I would say look more at Vegas having LSU at 7 than whatever any national media member is going to say. JJ, good morning, Scone. Ready for the season to start? Amen. Brandon Wallace, how's Jack Besh? Haven't heard his name. So Jack had shin splints to start fall camp. We saw him the other day. He had like a sleeve on his lower leg. And so I think he was just dealing with some physical stuff, but he's been back out there. Scott, if we lose Emery for the season, is it a huge loss or can we handle? I think it's a huge loss because of your numbers. I like Noah Kane. I think Armani Goodwin has been a very pleasant surprise. But after that, it's Josh Williams, and that's it. I mean, you've got, if you don't have Emery, then you've got 2 scholarship running backs and Josh Williams. So, and before, I know Josh Williams is on scholarship now. My point is, like, he was a walk-on. I'm talking about an initial 25 scholarship guy. I mean, so, Scott, you can handle if your guys stay healthy. But if you have an injury, you're really in trouble. Let's see, when will Kelly name a starting quarterback? I would assume it's going to happen this week. If not before, I would imagine after Tuesday's scrimmage. Looks like Ty Davis-Price is doing well with the Niners. Coach Nate Green, only reason players like Ian Book and Traquan Smith are still on the team, so the starter doesn't have to play in the preseason. Right, but you're still going to keep somebody, you're still going to keep a practice squad quarterback for scout team and stuff like that during the week. So you're going to have another quarterback on the roster. Like, Book's going to get cut and then re-signed to the practice squad. Neighbors probably wide receiver 2. Don't sleep on Jeray Jenkins, man. Jeray Jenkins has been awesome. But Booty, Jenkins, Neighbors, Besh, they're loaded at receiver for sure. Brian Thomas, Hilton, I mean, they're loaded at receiver. Hi! You want to come say hi to Dad's show? No. Okay. No. He'll come by later. Jeremy Vice, Peyton Wilson. Do you think LSU will ever add an upper deck to the student section side? No, Peyton. I think if anything, they will contract capacity in Tiger Stadium. Murder Giraffe, I mean, like, they can't fill 102,000. Murder Giraffe. Ogeron, good. Kelly, bad. Give me another rant. Brett the Grow, we're talking about practice, not a game. Let's see. Tiger Bay 314, DA. Matt, after watching the scrimmage and practice drills, is this team prepared to line up against Florida State Saturday at 7 o'clock? I mean, no. Of course you'd rather have another 2 weeks. Hi! You want to say hi to Dad's show?
No.
No?
Hi.
You want to come say hi to Dad's show?
Hi.
Hi. Well, come see me. Oh, there's my little boy. Okay, here, I'm gonna get my hands on you. Well, you're such a little sleepyhead.
Listen.
What'd you do, lazy bones? Did you just wake up?
Where's tomorrow?
Tomorrow's Monday.
Go to what?
And you'll go to the New St. Lily.
No.
New St. Lily. What's today, Drew? What's today? What day is today? Sunday. Do you want to say hi, Dad Show? Say hi, Dad Show.
Hi, Dad.
Well, that was very sweet. Sure, they all love to see you. Hey, who did you see last night? Remy. Yep. What'd you say to Remy? Remy's a lab, our friend's lab. Labrador, a dog. And Drew played with Remy all night long. Threw him a ball and everything, huh? Okay. Okay. Go look out the window. All right, shout out to Brock, Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, Hudco Roofing. Need a orthopedic, go to Brock. Need a roof, call Hudco. Wacky Chris, morning Matt. You taking the over under on LSU Florida State? I don't know what the total is, honestly. I just know that the spread is 3. And I probably won't play the game. My play on LSU, I think, would be an over on the win total. If you could get LSU at 6.5, that would be incredible. At 7, I'd take it as well. 7.5, I would probably need some pretty good juice to play that one. But I do think they land at 8. I've told you that before. I think they're 8-4. Black Goatee. Is there a world where our starting quarterback can win the Heisman this year, whoever that may be? I mean, sure. Look, you could make the case. I mean, if you go undefeated or 11-1, I mean, let's say Jaden Daniels throws for 2,800 yards and runs for 1,000 yards and accounts for 40 touchdowns. And yeah, but I also don't think that's going to happen. Let's see. How about Danny Etling's elite speed? I tell you, he had a touchdown run like that in the preseason against, when he was with, I think it was when he was with New England. He had a touchdown in the preseason like that on a bootleg. Tigerbait 134. What's your way too early game prediction for Florida State? Yeah, I think I've said something like 27-24. I think it's a game in the 20s. I think LSU wins a close one. Strong side. I heard that Brady was on the Masked Singer TV show. That's why he's not a camp. Someone asked that on Ask Ryan on Friday. I don't know what that's about. Let's see. I like both quarterbacks. I want someone that can execute the offense efficiently. John Boudreaux, good morning. Have a good Sunday. Rapping batches. How about the UFC fight? Yeah, man. Rex, is Daniels head and shoulders the better option, or is he getting the nod due to O-line not being totally set? Edge and mobility can bail out the line at times. I think both things matter. I think he's a better athlete, certainly better running ability, and I think he's also more experienced. He started 30 games in his career, so you got a guy who won't necessarily be overwhelmed by the environment starting because he's done it for 3 years now. Alex, excited about watching Noah Kane. The kid seems very intelligent. He's a really good runner too. Like, I hope he's healthy and his body holds up because he has looked really good so far in fall camp. Ryan Pike, got LSU at 7 wins. I feel pretty good about at least getting a push. So you took the over at 7? Yeah, I mean that's a good play. 7.5 would be tough, but I'll say it again. I think they get to 8. Gregory Gordy, who's your top 3 running backs ever to play for LSU? It's so hard, Gregory, because I know Billy Cannon won the Heisman. I didn't see Billy Cannon play, but I mean, you'd kind of have to put him on the list, right? I think Fournette is the most amazing back that I've seen at LSU, and I love Kevin Falk, so I'd probably go there. But if you do that, then you're leaving out Jerry Stovall, who was a Heisman runner-up, Charles Alexander, who's a college football Hall of Famer. You're invariably leaving out really great players if you do that. So I think we just sort of defer to what we know. But Fournette led the country in rushing, was a gigantic freakazoid, and Kevin Falk might be my favorite LSU player ever. So that's probably the 3 I would give you. Brown Bear 765, morning Scone. My dad is now the full-time play-by-play for Menard High School. Any advance I can pass his way for calls? Yeah, absolutely. Give the score a lot. Give the score a lot. Josh B. from Atlanta just bought tickets to LSU versus Auburn. Going to be a great game. Pivotal game that is, man. It's always fun when LSU and Auburn play. Y'all know I love that game. Can you turn that volume down a little bit on that? Thanks, babe. Donovan Thibodeau, Ryan Pike. I got a completely different vibe from the Florida State guy. I thought he sounded concerned. Right. I did too, actually. I was surprised at that comment a bit ago. Josh B, 48-17 LSU over Florida State. Jesus. If they beat Florida State 48-17, I will completely recalibrate everything I think about this football team. If they win 48, if LSU beats Florida State 48-17, LSU may win a natty. Daniel Blunt, Matt, why do I feel like we should lower expectations because this team needs a year or two to rebuild? Whose expectations need to be lowered? That's my point. Are you talking about fan expectations? Like, take fan expectations and throw it out the window. Let's just look at outside opinions. Las Vegas has LSU at 7. Media picked LSU to finish 5th in the West. LSU's unranked in both preseason polls for the first time in 22 years. I just looked at FPI, ESPN's FPI, their final updated projection. I'm sorry, not FPI. Bill Connolly's SP Plus metric has LSU at 6.5 wins. Like, who needs to lower expectations? Everyone around you is telling you, like every objective metric is telling you this team isn't going to be very good. But fans are sitting there going, they're going to win 10 games. Can we win a Heisman? I mean, no. But I think LSU will be better than all those objective or outside sources think. But I don't think it's going to be as good as fans think. I think fans this team is not going to be as good as fans think. It's not going to be as bad as a lot of the outside people think. I think they're going to land somewhere in the middle. I think Brian Kelly immediately makes them a more competent team. I do like the defense, having put eyes on them. I think this defense is going to be good. And they've got a lot of talented skill guys. Offensive line and quarterback are big questions right now. And special teams. WBG69. We confirm Kelly's naming a starting quarterback. Or are we just going to say that every day till it happens? No, Brian Kelly did literally say it yesterday. So LSU practiced in Tiger Stadium, and then Kelly afterwards said, like, we're going to name a starting quarterback, and we're going to do it pretty quickly here. So he did confirm that he is going to name a starter before the game. Rebuild with 4 more potential first-round picks on the D-line. Hey, look, Hunter, I think the defensive line is going to be good. I don't think all 4 are going to be first-round picks. I think Ojulari's got a great chance to be a first-rounder this year. And I think Mason Smith will be when his day comes. Ali Gay, because of the injury issues, probably won't be. And Jaquelin Roy kind of depends on the type of season he has this year. And if he comes out after his junior year, comes back for his senior year, we'll see. Keaton Berry and Daniels won the job fair and square, so I want him to prove my doubts about him wrong and ball out. I'm disappointed about the Emery news. Damon Hinderberger, morning Matt. When do you think Brian Kelly finalizes offensive line starters? Yeah, man. I'll put it to you this way. You better have that done. Okay. If you're about to name a starting quarterback, then I want my starter to have every rep with the starting center. Because the center quarterback exchange is paramount. Like, you've got to get that down, and I want those guys to have every rep possible together to learn their cadence. So if you start with center, like if you assume Dellinger's one of your best 5, and Dellinger's going to be in there, if Dellinger is your starting center, then that's got to get locked in. I think you lock in center, left tackle, and you build around there. But center is, and I'm assuming now that I think we all have that Campbell's going to be your starting left tackle. But if Dellinger's your center, you got to lock that in because I want center and quarterback to get every rep possible together. Did Joe Fouché make a mistake by transferring to LSU? I don't think so, Scott. I mean, I think you just ask everyone that individually, and he may not start, but he's going to play. I'm telling you, like when they've gone into dime packages, Fouché comes on the field. So, and I think there's going to be a lot of games where they play a lot of dime. Like I think he's going to play a lot of football for this team. Wow, a lot of questions today. I appreciate y'all. I'm doing my best to get through them, y'all. So y'all know the drill. Just be patient with me. I'll get to all your questions, comments, etc. Let's see. Don Tico, are you into Japanese whiskey? Not a lot, Don. Honestly, too much rice flavor. I found I don't love when you have an overwhelming flavor of rice or corn in whiskey. Like I love wheated bourbons, and the Japanese whiskey tends to just be lower proofed as well, a little mild. It's just not my favorite. Josh B, let's see, rapping batches, dude. Let's talk MMA. Nothing big in football right now. Leon Edwards shocked the world. That was a huge upset, man. Strong side, great game last night between the Stros and Braves. Edward O. Keaton, did you watch Kelly's presser? He basically said both guys will play. Wouldn't say Daniels has the job locked up. Rapping batches, dude. It was okay. Y'all are talking to each other. Murder Giraffe, can I gently caress the like button? Sure, if that's what you prefer to do. Jared Guillory, like Sheldon Sampson and Jaylen Brown went from 5. All right. Y'all are worried about Sampson and Brown, who were 5 stars and are now 4 stars. All the scouting services updated their rankings after elite camps during the summer. The thing that is the most important when it comes to any type of star rating, and I don't give a, God, I wish this was nightcap so I could curse. I don't care about star rankings at all. If you're a high 4, low, don't care. What I'll tell you as a fact is the most important part of those rankings are your senior season in football. So let's see what happens at the end of the year. Joey B19, the Yankees are 9-20 since the All-Star break. Are you worried that it's more than just a bad week or two? Honestly, look, I mean, you lose 6 straight series. That's not good. They need to get back on track. Injuries have clearly hurt this team. But you know how I kind of feel, Joey B? I kind of feel like in 2009, the Saints started 13-0, and then they lost their last 3 games. And then they had the bye, and then played Arizona. So they went a full month without winning a football game. It was actually like 5 weeks between wins. So like, I remember feeling then like, oh my God, like they had this amazing momentum and they lost it. And then when they needed to, they got it back together and won the Super Bowl. I kind of feel similar about this. Maybe that's just hopeful, wishful thinking. The injuries do concern me, but 9-20 since the All-Star break, but you still got what, a 7-game lead in the division? I mean, I'll take it. Jesse Brown, morning, Matt. With Brady being MIA, do you think that will give the Saints advantage of being one in the South? I do. I actually am becoming more and more bullish on the Saints. I think Tampa, losing the entire interior of their offensive line, 3 starters on the interior, no Antonio Brown. They didn't re-sign Ndamukong Suh. Julio Jones and Kyle Rudolph are coming off the worst seasons of their careers. I think both those guys are done. Brady's 45. Now he's MIA in camp. You got a new coach. I mean, yeah, I think there are so many variables flying around Tampa right now that it's going to end badly. I do. Let's see. Hey, babe. Merritt Betherne, are you disgracing the neighborhood with your elliptical out in the front lawn? I am not. It's in the shed. That's a reference to Terrio's letter on Friday where he teed off on people who leave trash in the yard for days on end. And you know what's funny? There is a guy down the street who has like a desk chair and some pallets and twigs in the front of his yard. Saw it yesterday. Jared Guillory, how old is Drew? Drew just turned 8 years old. Just turned 8. Jonathan Young, Matt, just let you know, enjoy your weekend podcast. I listen to you every Sunday while getting ready for church. Thank you, Jonathan. So keep in mind, Jonathan, this isn't just a weekend thing. We do this every single day. Like today's episode 1611. That's 1611 days we do this. So every single day we do this, like not just weekends. So feel free to join us during the week. On days when I bring Drew to school, we fire it up around 7:30. We're usually on from like 7:30 to 8. So feel free to join us during the week as well. Does HUDCO do work in New Orleans? Absolutely. We will do anywhere in the entire state. So if you need roof repair, replacement, inspection, whatever, anywhere in the state of Louisiana, absolutely. And Gregory, you can email me or text me if you want. Email me, matt@hudcoroofing.com, or text 225-396-4400, 396-4400. The Edling run was like 75 yards against the Giants in the preseason. Was it that long? Reed Rule, morning, Matt. Any tips for watching football at home with a newborn for this season? No. My experience my experience was so different. I mean, Drew was in the hospital for 9 months. So, like on game days, we would go up to the hospital and I would bring like laptop, tablet, and I'd have games like set up. So I was streaming games from the NICU. And then whenever LSU played, I'd go back to our apartment to watch the LSU game so I could chart and note and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, we didn't really have a normal newborn experience. So, and Drew was born in July, so we had a newborn during football season, but it was just different. But someone here might be able to give you some advice. Urban Sombrero, good morning. Jason Beck, if this year is a true rebuild, why not start in us to build experience? Because nobody, especially a coach making $100 million, is going to acknowledge ever that it's a rebuild, which is why he went and signed 15 transfers to be able to maximize this season. If it was a true rebuild, you would have gone all high school signees and played all the young guys, taking your lumps and built. But that's not LSU. Like you may not be a national title contender this year, but a teardown rebuild is something that will and should never happen at LSU ever, where you're a 2-win team because it's a like teardown rebuild where you're just like, we're not going to be good. We're going to go get a bunch of guys experience. Like maybe you do that at Texas Tech with a new coach. Maybe you do that at East Carolina with a new coach. You never do that at LSU. Not when you're investing the money and resources you are into this program. Keaton, if Jaden comes out of the gate rolling, I don't think he's coming out. Like, I would agree with that. I'll tell you this. I think both guys play against Southern extensively in week 2. I think if Jaden starts against Florida State, or if Nuss starts against Florida State, and they play well, there's no reason to upset the apple cart just to get someone else in there. If you're rolling, you roll, right? But if the offense is sputtering, I could see a situation where you put the other guy in, and that's when you start to create the controversy, right? Once you put the second guy in, now it's debating who did better, who did what, which way you're going to go. But that happened last year. Last year, Notre Dame played Jack Scone and Tyler Buckner. Scone was the primary starter, but Buckner played as well. I think I'm saying it right. Buckner, however you say it. Michael Cook, what's good, man? Brian Jones, what does our base formation look like on offense? Everything's been shotgun except when they go short yardage. Tony Williams, 34-10 LSU. Y'all are crazy, bro. I swear to God, y'all are crazy. Robbie Welburn, what about the center position? Sounds like there's some concern. Dellinger struggled with the snap the other day when we got to watch him, but that feels like sounds like that's something that's correctable. Todd Harris, Ryan O'Neal. Matt, are you glad the Saints didn't get Corral? Now, no, I'd draft Matt Corral with a mid-round pick and give him a redshirt year. Jason Horn, what's going on? Time for the Matt Shuffle. I thought it was funny 2 weeks ago. T-Bob had never heard the intro to Scone and T. Wish y'all could go another 30 minutes minimum on that show. Y'all do very well with it. Best sports podcast, period. Well, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for listening. Yeah, I mean, Lord knows if you want to hear more of me, there are opportunities. If it's Morning Scone or Scone and Tea, Whiskey and Wine's about to start. Oh, by the way, I'll tell you all this. Tomorrow, so I started an NIL podcast with the Matchpoint guys called Rosters to Riches, and we're recording episode 3 tomorrow, and our guest is Will Wade. So Will has agreed to come on the podcast. We're going to record it tomorrow, and it's going to drop on Tuesday. So the pod drops Tuesday morning. So we're going to talk NIL, and I'm not sure to what extent we're going to be able to go deep into what happened with Will, but we'll have Will Wade on the show tomorrow. So let me rephrase the show being Rosters to Riches, which will drop on Tuesday. Clark Tiger Davis, what's up? Everybody's saying good morning to Drew over here on Facebook. Matthew Garner, morning Matt. Rouse's have anything crazy allocated available to taste yesterday? Yeah, man. They were letting everyone taste Van Winkle 12-year Lot B, the Van Winkle Rip 10, Thomas H. Handy, Stag Jr., and Michter's 10-year rye were the 5 bottles they had opened. They brought up big boys, man. Matthew Windsor, Kelly's going to win the next 3 to 5 against Bama. Going to win 2 natties, 1 against Bama rematch. Okay, go ahead and screenshot that one. Tony Williams, I think people are sleeping on LSU simply because Brian Kelly's installing discipline. I don't think that's the case at all. I think it's because you went 500 in back-to-back seasons and you have massive roster turnover. Marquise, and you don't have a settled offensive line or quarterback. That's why people are not high on LSU. Marquise Robinson, if a kid like Jordan Tolles enters the transfer portal this late, are they eligible to play this season? So, not at a Power 5 school. He could go to the FCS or JUCO and play immediately, but otherwise, anywhere he transfers, he'd have to sit this year. Austin Fridge, if you were picking number 2 in fantasy, who would you draft? Honest to goodness, who was that? Austin, I have never played fantasy football in my life. I would be the worst person to ask because I don't even know where is the value in quarterbacks or running backs or receivers. I really don't even know. I would be the worst person to ask. Robbie Welburn, what's the new podcast you talked about? So it's called Rosters to Riches. It's an NIL podcast. So the guys that own Matchpoint came to us. They wanted to start an NIL podcast on Guarantee's podcast network called Drop Biscuit Studios. So Jonathan Pixley asked me if I would host the podcast. So it's me and Pixley, and we structured usually with NIL news, a guest, and listener questions. So Will Wade is going to be our guest tomorrow. So, and again, it will drop on Tuesday. So if you haven't done so yet, however you get your podcast, go subscribe to Rosters to Riches, T-O, Rosters to Riches. Subscribe so whenever the Will Wade episode drops on Tuesday, you'll be able to hear it. All right, a couple more. Sorry, y'all, I lost my place. John Boudreaux, this year we need to see a competitive product on the field. Lost so many players. Fan in me is 8 wins. Could easily be 5 wins. John, listen, I don't think the floor is that low. I think I'll remind you, when Les was here, the worst season they ever had, they went 7-5, won the bowl game, and got to 8. I still think there's enough talent on this team, and when you get the Mississippi schools at home, like you should win those two games. So if you win your four non-conference games, which they should, and the two Mississippi schools, that's six. Like I think, you know, if you're at six there, I'm assuming you're going to lose Bama. Can you split at Auburn, at Florida, get one of those? And can you split at Arkansas A&M, get one of those? If you do, you're at 8. I mean, that's kind of how in my head I've pieced the season together. So that's how I think they get to 8. See, Jared Guillory 8-4 to 9-3 is what I believe this team will finish. Let's see, Rex. People tend to forget how much better a team is with years of consistency, even with an average coach, compared to a brand new situation with a great coach. Look at first year at Alabama under Nick Saban; they were 6-6. It's a great point. If this team doesn't dominate Florida State, that Mississippi State game isn't a lock, in my opinion. I mean, I would agree, but I don't think they're going to dominate Florida State, and I don't think Mississippi State is a lock. I think they'll be favored, and they're at home, and they should win it. Ultimate Warrior Morning, what's going down in Tiger Town? Swerve, what's the accuracy rate of media and other metrics you just mentioned? I don't know that you're looking at accuracy rates. I mean, you want to talk about Las Vegas? I mean, they're Vegas odds makers. Pretty good, right? I'm just saying the point was from a bit ago, someone mentioned, that we're overhyping the team. And I said, no, like fans could be overhyping the team. I'm like, look at all of these objective metrics that suggest they're not, like when everybody's saying something except this very biased group of fans, of course, like you're going to objectively look at what everybody who is objective is saying more than the people with extreme bias. That's the point. This is Stone Musso. Let's see. Oh, somebody was getting into something there. Ultimate Roar UFC card was awesome. Brody Dupree, I love when my favorite teams play good defense. It's my favorite side of the ball to watch. Anthony Joshua. I saw Anthony Joshua lost. I didn't see him lose his mind. My question is, if Daniels has been a starter for 3 years, why is he struggling to beat out Nussmeier? Is that an indictment on Daniels, or is Nuss a real threat? I don't think it's either an indictment on Daniels or Nussmeier. I think you have a guy that showed up here a week before the start of spring practice and has worked to get better throughout the season. I think Garrett Nussmeier is a really good player. And you have a coaching staff that's come in and has had completely open competitions. Look at Greg Brooks and Joe Fouché. Dudes have played a ton of football. Like, why aren't they starting? I mean, you could look at any of that. Guys who were here or who aren't. Look at Micah Baskerville. Baskerville's your most experienced linebacker. Is it an indictment on Baskerville, or is this just the coaching staff looking for something different? Hunter, I get it. Like, you're super high on Nussmeier. You've made that abundantly clear. And it's stunning to me that people like you are so sternly entrenched there when we have literally seen Nussmeier play one game, and he was objectively bad against Arkansas last year. They scored 13 points in an overtime game. Like, wasn't good, bro. I'm not saying he won't be good in time. I'm saying there is literally no evidence at all to suggest your level of confidence is warranted or justified, other than you're an unapologetic homer. I mean, that's it. Maybe the dude will be great. I hope he is. I hope he is. But there is nothing you have seen objectively to give you that level of confidence in that player. Do you love living in Baton Rouge? I haven't lived there since 2004. Baton Rouge is great, man. Great. It's home. It's a great place to raise a family. There's things that I like better in bigger cities that Baton Rouge doesn't have, but I love raising a family here. Joey B19 is nightcap coming back soon. The only way I'd do it, Joey B, would be on Sundays because Wednesdays are Scone and tea now. Let's see, Matt, I'm working on an English degree, but I used to do TPO flat commercial roofing. Can't get a job at HUDCO. Yeah. Email me. Seriously. Matt@hudcoroofing.com. I'm serious. If you want to work, Matt@hudcoroofing.com. Ooh, it's 10:40. I got to get going. I got to go to church. All right, I'm going to go quickly here to wrap up. If 262 watching, appreciate you so much. Shout out to Brock, Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, HUDCO Roofing, hudcoroofing.com. Real quick, of the 263 watching there, if you have not done so yet, please take a quick second, smash the like button. Appreciate that greatly. It's how all the metrics help. And then also, please subscribe up to the channel if you have not done so yet. Just hit the red subscribe button. It's free. Y'all will know that. By the way, I just pinned HUDCO in the YouTube chat. If you want to, Daniel, if you'd rather contact there. Keaton, let's see, Hunter. I think when Nuss threw the bad pass that Ward should have picked in the scrimmage Wednesday that separated Daniels, they both had good drives. Nobody said Daniels made a mistake. Daniels they were both really good on Wednesday. Nuss did make a very bad throw into the end zone that should have been intercepted. But the day before Nussmeier could have been awesome. Don't know. We didn't get to see it. I mean, I'll tell you, Nussmeier also, I know like some of y'all will just interpret this as me just like rooting for the guy who says go on the job, but there was a play also, and I have video of it. I didn't post it specifically because people would say, why are you just posting bad throws by Nussmeier? Well, I don't video every single throw. I just happened to get this one. I mean, it was a screen in the flat to John Emery, and Nussmeier threw it like 3 yards wide. I mean, missed an open receiver in the flat. I mean, like, but I guess my point is like, there's good and bad. Okay. John Boudreaux, what's your prediction for the attendance for LSU Southern halftime in stadium? Yeah, I think people are going to watch the halftime show. Maybe the reason Brady is MIA is he lost his entire offensive line. Is questioning coming back. Maybe so. Uncle Houdat, good morning. Wife came in the room, said, happy birthday, old man. Completely slipped my mind, 51-year-old. You forgot it was your birthday? Well, happy birthday, Uncle Houdat. Hope it's an awesome one. How will the LSU band be this year? I'm sure. Good as always. HUDCO jingle time. Rob, you got Will before Jordy. I don't know. I mean, it's a NIL podcast, but whatever. What's up with John Emery? It sounds like it's grades. Read rule, Matt, what SEC team could shock people this year? Ole Miss, look at their schedule. They should start 8. They have a great chance to start 8-0. Panama Jack, I'm glad my Seminoles are catching you guys early in the season before you figure things out. I could actually make that argument both ways. I can't wait to have an intelligent coach do a press conference after a game. Urban Sombrero, I think LSU's defensive front destroys Florida State's offensive line. I think Florida State will be forced to get the ball out quickly. While I agree with that, Urban Sombrero, I think the flip side is also true. I think Florida State's defensive line will have an advantage over LSU's offensive line. I think both of those things are true. I think both teams have big-time questions on the offensive line and strengths on the defensive front. I mean, that's where your game is going to be won. Whichever offensive line can manage the game better. Vegas said LSU's true number is 5.5. They can't set at that number because everyone would hammer the over. That's true. All right, guys. Murder Giraffe, see ya. Caleb, LSU, 30-16. It'll be close for about 3 quarters. Emery Gist. Gist is with a G, by the way. G-I-S-T. Sounds like he's still battling academic issues, which explains why we're seeing more and more of Noah Kane and Armani Goodwin, who both look really good, by the way. Let's see. Juwan Hearns, Kelly will name Jaden the starter after Tuesday's scrimmage. That would be a good time to do it, or before. Bayou Boy can't find rosters to Rich's pod. That's strange. Go to dropbiscuit.com. Dropbiscuit.com, and you'll see there. And I'll make sure we blast out the link. Okay. Everybody wants the HUDCO. Well, not everybody, but a few people want the HUDCO jingle. So here you go, HUDCO jingle. Here it comes.
When you need a roof, call someone you know. My Scone, Ontario.
All you need is HUDCO.
Call HUDCO Roofing.
364.
1007.
Yeah, Chance, I saw that Dana White said that Brady and Gronk were going to go to the Raiders before John Gruden nixed it, and ultimately Brady went to Tampa. That's crazy. Dalton, if only the mainstream media guys were complete LSU homers like me, they could see how good LSU really is. That's funny. All right, y'all. I think we're just about done. Y'all have a great Sunday. Going to church. YouTube, smash the like button. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. Facebook, please like the page, share the post. As always, shout out to Brock. You need North Peters, go to Brock. You need a roof, HUDCO, give us a shout. Have an awesome Sunday, y'all. We will see you tomorrow.